Okay, I guess we can slowly settle down and begin our classes. But before that, at least, can I get maybe a what do you think you've learned, or what do you think you like to know? Any comments that you have on the two videos that we show on the screen just now? Do you have any comments or maybe questions, maybe criticism, or because I've got criticism, I got some reserved comments on that, but nonetheless. Do you have any comments? What have you learned at this?
We're living in a corrupt system.
We're living in a corrupt system.
Yes.
It's time to change the new one. But how? When and what? Isn't it? But which is true, which is true. So I'm just gonna use my Stalinist instinct again. My friends are standing at the moment. No, okay. I'm not. Do you have any comments on the video? I mean, questions. What have you learned at this? What do you think the video is all about?
All the people in the bank, people in the finance industry, are liars, cheaters.
So all of
this is according to the movie The Big Short.
The Big Short.
Yeah.
They were all a bunch of liars.
Yep.
Tried to manipulate finance systems and for their own goods. What about you? I mean, what's your name, by the way? What's your name, by the way?
Amen.
Amen. You want to comment on something? No? Yeah. Why?
Okay. I don't know. I don't really understand it.
Okay, okay. What part? I mean, what do you think the video is all about? At least, do you have any general impressions of it?
I think the video is commenting on the recent housing crisis.
All right.
And instead, the most interesting part is said something about the problem never gets solved and it only shifts to another country. I'm kind of thinking what is happening right now.
All right. Okay. One of the issues that he mentioned just now is that there are many genres. There are many ways to explain how the crisis happened. I don't know whether you're familiar with the crisis or not. If you don't, there's a very good video which I'm not going to show. But again, you can Google it later. The video is about the animation video trying to explain the housing crisis and what happened in the housing crisis. But in general, the banks give more loans, and then what happened is that they can't pay.
To people who can't pay.
Sorry? The people can't pay.
Yeah, they know that.
Yeah, they know that they somehow sell their house. It's a whole mess financial systems in November. But there are many genres. You can say it's because the government doesn't intervene. You might want to say the government intervened too much. But at least there are one genre. It's maybe less discussed, according to David Harvey, that this whole thing is basically part of the contradictions, part of the conceptual contradictions that is happening in capitalism itself. Now, he used the terms from a Marxist point of view, but I think we can actually somehow link it back to Adam Smith. We can link it back to Adam Smith, in fact, because Adam Smith was saying the same thing. He was saying that if you are focusing, you're focusing too much on growth. He doesn't say that, but he said that one of the criteria of the system itself is requires a constant accumulation of growth. You have to accumulate more capital to produce more and more and more goods. Because if you don't, you're gonna get eliminated. The other company is gonna take over. We mentioned about Nokia last time, isn't it?
Yes.
So in this particular environment, you have to keep up. But if you have to keep up, you are forced to keep up, then you have to do a lot of other things to make sure that you somehow get the profits. And he mentioned just now that now the laborers, the wages of the laborers are being repressed, isn't it? There's no increase in the wages of the labor in the United States since the 1970s. So how do you make sure that your goods are being sold if the wages cannot afford to buy it? Then come financial systems, the credit system. I mean, the credit systems exist long before, but it's become more and more complicated, more and more accessible, in fact, to the laborers and to the workers who can't afford to buy houses. What's happened is these investors invest in the banks, and the banks somehow come up with the loans, and the loans somehow being sold to a third person that's mediate the whole process. But in a very general sense, it's easy for them to get more loans to buy houses. But the thing is, they give loans and they're depending on interest to get their profits in a way. But again, it's somehow it becomes problems when people cannot afford to pay back. But then when people can afford to pay back, the others, in a way somehow, there's one thing they cannot afford to pay back. The second community is that because it's easy for them to buy loans, they're going to use that to own a house and sell the house back to some other people.
Sir, what I think banks give like ranking, rank A, B,
Yeah,
C for people.
Yeah.
So at that time, what they did, they lowered the standard. So instead of just giving those who have rank B and A, they maybe gave to C.
Yeah.
So they know that C, they can't afford to pay back,
Yeah.
but they just did it and give because they want to generate more money and
Yeah, exactly.
that's why.
Exactly. So this level A, level B, level C is slightly more complicated. You can actually, I mean, there's a video I think on that. It's quite easy to understand. I'm tempted to show it to you, but I think if I show it to you now, we might not be able to get to another 5 slides. But okay, the thing is, okay, my philosophy is not a very essential sense, but my philosophy when it comes to classes is that it's okay to be slow as long as you learn something. 3 days ago, okay, I was in Penang attending a conference, classes by Prof. Farid Alatas. You know Prof. Farid Alatas, I think, no? Okay, he's based in the US, I think. So he outlined a specific syllabus and topics for political Islam. It's a 2-day courses. So we went there for the first day. We barely somehow finished the first 2 topics. We're supposed to finish like 5 topics for that particular day. We somehow stopped at 2 topics because we keep on asking questions, going more deeper. And he said this. He said, as somebody asked a question, I said, "Sir, I think we should stick with the syllabus." He said it's okay, which I think I quite agree with it in a way. Though again, it really depends on you guys. I think I'm a believer of that particular principle. It's okay to be slow, as long as you somehow understood it in depth. Because from there, you can explore it on your own. The readings, the materials, and just knowing, it somehow makes sense to you that it's going to stick with you forever, at least. You can learn as much as you can for the next 10 weeks, 10 sessions. But because you can't make sense of it, you can't see the relationship between these particular theories and the world out there, and you're not attached to it because you're not engaged with it too much, it might just go away for the next 2 months, in the next 2 months. So for me, I don't mind if because we plan to somehow cover 5 thinkers. Realistically speaking, I think we're going to cover 4. But if we maybe a bit slow more, we can cover 3. But I think 3 is enough. If 3, we're going to go maybe Smith, and then Ricardo and Marx. These three thinkers is good enough for you to be able to read any of the thinkers in the classical era. So that's why I think it's okay to be slow, as long as I think we are consistent, and we're able to make sense of it. Okay, before that, again, any question? This is important. If you have any questions, please ask questions. Please stop me anytime you want, because I need to make sure that you guys understand the content in a way. So, okay, any questions regarding the session that we had today? Okay.
I'm just curious that since we are saying that the merchants, the capitalists are going to buy land from the landlords, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what happened to landlords? I mean, are they going to be the workers now, or what are they going to do?
So usually they become an influence in a way. So because they got the money, somehow they invest it in companies as well. They create their own production process. But the interesting thing about Smith, he somehow said in the book as well, in the book of Wealth of Nation, he said landlords are stupid because they are used to not working. They own the land, just sit and they're goyang kaki at their home. They got the money. And maybe it's not a human nature kind of thing. He's trying to describe what happened in his era. He said that the landlords are stupid because most of the time, supposedly if you are smart, you as a landlord somehow involve in capitalist productions and maybe become a capitalist yourself. But they don't. Capitalists take over the lands, not the lands take over the productions in a way. And the thing is, I mean, most of the landlords are actually involved in production process because they have no experiences. They have no wealth. They just buy stuff and then somehow run the businesses, and they have no experiences. They collapse. So among the 3, Smith commented on the 3 classes. He said laborers are naive. Laborers are naive in the sense that they don't know that they are somehow, how do you put this, dependent on the whole system that works in a way. So they think that but at the end of the day, they can't do anything about it. So they are naive. They don't know that there are bigger worlds out there. But again, they were being put in that particular classes. They can't really get out of it in a way. Some of them can, but in a very general sense, if you are laborers, and obviously,
Does that mean Smith times? What about teachers, military, police? Does that mean the government is the capitalist, which doesn't really make any sense?
government is capitalist. Sorry?
I mean, would that make? Do they have military at that time?
Yeah,
So who paid the military?
the government,
So where the government got money from?
the taxes.
Then does that mean that there already government intervention during Smith time?
Yeah. No, okay. Remember James Stewart? James Stewart is this one economist and also a politician that Smith is trying to refute. James Stewart was saying that the government should intervene more, but in the directions where, in any crisis, the government should intervene by focusing on the lower classes. They must restrict the population, the overpopulation. They must restrict the amount of marriage. So Smith was trying to argue against that. But later, and slightly in more later slides, you'll see that Smith also said the government should intervene when it comes to military. He never said, okay, there's no. Remember the definitions of almost free? That's where the almost comes in. In the market, when it comes to military and education, workers can only get out of their poverty through education. And this cannot be supplied by the market, according to Smith. And again, we're going to see one of the problems is that Smith is a bit too optimistic about it. But he said that we need to make sure that the government supply educations. Only then the laborers can be able to actually to get more educated and get out of the poverty. Because why? Because in this particular system, not just this system, in fact, it's already happened before he describes it, that workers and laborers are somehow divided into this division of laborers. So they don't have any skill except what they are doing, except that the part where they are involved with. If they are making chips, attached to screw to one another, that's the only thing that they do from morning till evening. They learn no new skills. So they'll be stuck forever there. And at least according to that particular time, you can't have extra educations where you have free time. He was looking at a very poor labor class, the poorest labor classes, where they have to work from morning till almost night, in fact. Back in those days. Remember, this is the context of Smith period, if you like. So, the only way for them to do that, the only way, and obviously when your parents are like that, you can't educate your kids in that particular sense, because you are basically, your father or your parents are as ignorant as other parents. So, the government, according to Smith, and we're going to explore it more later, but it's okay. I'll somehow hint at it now. Smith said, okay, then the market cannot address this. The market's one, at least at that particular time. Now we are entering a more complicated economy where skills are more required. In this free market system that we have today, skills are valued. But back in those days, you just need laborers that be able to somehow attach two screws. And that's good enough. So the market, at least the capitalists, won't actually invest on education to put more skills so the laborers can, because it's going to reduce the amount of labor that we have. So what they do, what Smith said is the government should intervene to make sure that in the very long run, we are those laborers who will be able to improve themselves and get education to somehow get out of their own classes, if you like. And military as well. Remember, there's a last slide, list of things that Smith said should be intervened by the government. That's at the very end of the lecture of the slides. But for now, because he was trying to answer the problems of division of labor, he suggested division of labor is good in terms of productivity. It's good, but the problem is that it's going to make the workers dumb. So, hence why the government should intervene. Okay, I mentioned about remember in the last two slides, I think, we mentioned about this exchangeable value and then there's a real exchangeable value. So what does it really mean when Smith was using the word the real measure of exchangeable value? Obviously, before this, we are looking at the labor expended on the production. But again, how do we put the value to that particular labor? How much will, for example, labor is 1 hour, 2 hours involved in the production process. It comes and it's being translated in form of wages, in form of money, isn't it? But again, who decides and what exactly is the value of the labor? Why is the labor is actually 2 ringgit, not 3 ringgits? Why not 4 ringgits?
Is it demand and supply?
Maybe you say it's demand and supply, but again, demand and supply have the equilibrium point that it's going to gravitate towards, if you like. And it's not looking at the wage, it's a different thing now. It's not looking at wages now. We're trying to look at when capitalists or not just capitalists, and laborers as well, when they somehow get to the market, the value of the laborers are being measured by what? In what sense, what are the standards that will be used to measure their own labors? The amount of hours that they put. So he was trying to answer that. Some say it's actually money. It's basically dependent on money, in fact. If money is increasing, the amount of labors, the value of their own labors, the amount of 1 hour of their labors is increasing as well. But that's not the case according to Smith. Most of the economists of those days said everything there's no ontological value, if you like. There's no such thing as a real value of the thing itself. Everything is fluctuating, it's relative, it's social, it depends on everything. But according to Smith, they are values. And the values are the labor time, that's we all know. But what does it mean by that? They are invaluable standard by which we can actually judge changes in the real value of other things. So that he was trying to say that despite all the changes of prices of each goods, inflation, the other factors, but at the very basic of things, the phones and also the pen will have the same ratio regardless because of the labor expended on the production process. And that particular amount of labor, the standard of labor, the amount of 1 hours of labor, is intrinsic in itself. It's not social. It's not that we determine the price, in a way. It's something that has value in itself. You see?
Sir?
Yeah.
Can you see that it depends on how much of his skills does this?
How much?
How much of his skills?
The skill.
Yeah. Does this working hour needs from the worker? Like a work that needs effort, more effort, maybe it's not gonna get you paid like too much. But a work that needs skills and knowledge, maybe will get higher paid.
I mean, in what kind of skill? I'm sorry, I didn't quite get that. But I'm sure you're going somewhere, but maybe you can try to explain it.
Yeah, about how to decide on how much.
Yeah, I mean, that's the question, isn't it?
Yes. Maybe the job that needs more skills
Skills, as in
rather than effort. Like for example, I don't know anything like.
I think because the thing is, he was trying to look at the very simple, in any works, regardless of whether it's hard works or requires a lot of process, whatever it is, but the very basic things, you still put your works and labors into it, isn't it? So there must be a certain kind of a standards where all labors are being judged equally, if you like. So you cannot simply enter a market and suddenly, okay, your labor, 1 hour of labor, not 1 hour of labor is actually different to others. No, he was not talking about skills here. He was assuming in a very abstract, I'm tempted to use the word abstract labor, but that's later when you read Marx. But he was basically going there. It's not okay. It's not just secure. For example, you are a doctor. Obviously, 1 hour of doctor is different with 1 hour of building constructor. It's a different kind of hours, but that's assuming it's a more complicated economic sense. But according to Smith, that can be simplified in a more abstract sense. But because you are workers, you are paid higher because for you to become that skillful, you should consider the number of hours that you work to become that skillful, to get the education. You see? So he was trying to look at the abstract sense of labor where, how do you measure labor that are quite simple before he becomes skillful, before he becomes anything? So in that particular figure of abstract labor, how do you measure? What are the things that when they offer the labor, what are the things that are being valued when they contribute the works? Anybody can read this one? Oh, I can just read it. Calvin, can you read this one?
Yeah. From equal?
The equal qualities of labor.
Equal qualities of labor at all times and places may be said to be of equal value to the laborer. In his ordinary state of health, strength, and spirits, in the ordinary degree of his skills and dexterity, he must always lay down the same portion of his ease, his liberty, and his happiness.
So what are being sold here, according to Smith, is that this is liberty and happiness. So we put 1 ringgit or 2 ringgits to the 1 hour of labor. What are being sold, what are being sacrificed here, what are being exchanged here is that 1 ringgit is going to pay for your liberty, your ease, and your happiness. So that's these particular 3 elements, according to Smith, that is, which again to me is ridiculous, but according to Smith, is universal throughout the time, regardless of whether you have inflation, you have you have changes in technology, whatever. This liberty, this ease and happiness, is going to be the same. These amounts of ease and liberty and happiness to each individual is the same. Obviously, this is ridiculous, and some of the economists criticize this, but they criticize it, I think, in slightly in the wrong way. Obviously, every workers have their own conceptions of how much their own liberty, ease and happiness. My leisure time to your leisure time is different. The way I value my leisure time, my ease, my liberty, and my happiness, compared to the way you value your ease, liberty, and happiness is different. So why we put this as a kind of a homogeneous standard? But the thing is, because they tend to interpret, one of the economists criticized it by saying that this is ridiculous because we can't have a constant utility of labor. Everyone have their own utility of labor, satisfactions of leisure time. But I think Smith was not talking about that. This is again being reiterated by some of the scholars in the Adam Smith, because Adam Smith was saying that regardless whether you felt you like your leisure or liberty or whatever, it's something intrinsic. It's that thing that you sell regardless. Smith did not put forward or develop a subjective utility theory for consumption. It's not that, because we're trying to explain that okay, the sacrifice that you make, this ease, liberty, and happiness, can be interpreted in the language of consumption. Because consumption could be different to each other, depends on satisfaction, depending on preferences. He was putting forward his philosophical view of the sacrifice made by laborers. It was Smith's opinions that an hour's work by a wage labor is always by definition the sacrifice of 1 hour of ease and happiness, and very importantly, the sacrifice of 1 hour of liberty. So when a labor works for a master, she is no longer free or at liberty to do what she or he please. So this kind of a transactions, it's like dignity, human dignity, This, obviously you have a different set of dignity. Prostitute might think, who cares about human dignity, I'm just going to sell myself. But regardless, I think in a philosophical sense, Smith said there are certain values, and you are sacrificing that, regardless of your view about it, regardless of whether you are like it or not. That dignity has its own value in itself. And here we're not talking about dignity, we're talking about ease, liberty, and happiness. The amount of liberty, the liberty that you'll be able to have, is basically something that have value regardless whether you like it or not, whether you enjoy it or not in a way. And here that's why it's philosophical, because he was trying to propose that the value of this particular thing is in itself. It can be argued from a more. I think this is something that's coming from Aristotle as well. Values does not affected by what we think about the values. Goods are goods. It's not depending on whether we think they are goods or not. Philosophical approach is like that. We argue this is goods, but some people might don't like it. Helping people is good, and it becomes good because of the good itself. The value of helping others is good in itself. It's not depending whether we like it or not, we like to help or not, we think helping others is actually not relevant. It doesn't actually affect that. So the same thing works at this particular issue as well. So we have what amounts to an axiom in Smith's arguments: a period of time spent working by an ordinary day, laborers always represent the same sacrifice, ease, liberty, and happiness. okay, this is useful according to Smith. At least, if we can interpret it that way, this is useful in the sense that it's be able to somehow for Smith to put forward his moral arguments that this system should benefit the poor. In a way. So why? Why he said so? So in the next, but before that, okay, this is the calculation part. So if the price of the goods are 20 ringgit, and the wages for 1 hour works is 4 ringgit, so how many hours required to produce a particular good? In a very general sense, for
Again,
okay, I give you a wrong mathematics. Okay, so if the price are 20 ringgit and the wages for 1 hour is 5 ringgit, the labor required is 4 hours. So he was basically sacrificing 4 hours of ease and liberty and happiness. That's easy to understand, I think. So this choice of the real measure of, is a reflection of Smith's concern with the welfare and happiness of the poor majority in society. This is actually somehow can be connected to his lectures compiled by students. This is again this is not his writings in a way. This is again his students compiling the notes of the lectures and make a book out of it. In a way, it means later productions. So according to, this is 10 years ago. It's not something that he come up recently after he come up with the book. It's already in the back of his mind 10 years before the productions of The Wealth of Nations. He said very clear that the real opulence of the wealth of the nations, which determines the happiness of the nation, depends on the quantity of necessary conveniences that the majority can afford relative to sacrifice that must be made to obtain these necessaries. So obviously, there are two sides here he was talking about. If you look at the highlighted side, he was talking about two things. The system should not only address to make sure that the laborers are getting more ease, or more laborers can actually consume more, in the sense that they have more wages, to be able to get more foods, to get more high quality foods, but at the same time, the systems can also create happiness if the systems also allows that the amount of sacrifice that you have to make for that is lesser. I'll repeat that again. So the system again is to aim at producing a real happiness in the society. And as we see in the slides before, in the very first slide that we showed it to you, that Smith concerns looking at bringing the majority of the people to be happy. And obviously he outlined that there will be 2 to 3 things: the laborers, there's a worker, there's a 3 classes, 3 people he mentioned, I think, at the very first slide, I think you remember. But in a very general sense, he was focusing on the poor labor classes. That the systems can only be successful if they can make them happy. So how to make them happy? There are 2 things. The system must allow a constant increase of wages, and we can see from that, because he argued that in this particular system of national liberty, there will be a higher growth of labor demand than labor supply. That's why we constantly, in the long run, increase the wages of the laborers, so they can consume more. But at the same time, he needs to make sure the system should also address that the sacrifice that the laborers have to make is also lesser for them to consume more. So this is why he really emphasized on the notions of sacrifices as ease, liberty, and happiness. Because if these are made relative, then there's no point of having a systems where there's no arguments can be made to suggest that okay, we should somehow list the sacrifices, because people are gonna say, or at least the rich gonna say, ease, liberty, and happiness is relative. I would disagree with this, obviously, because I think, and Marx would disagree with this quite strongly. But trying to understand the context of his thinking, he was trying to put forward this argument, because he aimed at these arguments, this particular ease, liberty, and happiness as a concrete, universal thing, regardless of time and place, is for him to argue that this system should reduce their sacrifices in the long run to make the nations happy, or to make the majority of the labor working classes happy. So, yeah.
So that means that in his ideas, in the end, everyone is happy. If this is actually true.
If the society can be happy in a very general sense, if the majority of the people are happy.
But then he said that less work, more money equals to inflation, right?
Sorry, inflation?
Yes, because he said, in my understanding, I understand that he do less work, but he can consume more because he can do less work and he get more money. Is that correct?
Yeah, in a way, yes.
Yeah, okay, so that means that real productive things are being produced is less. No matter how we look at it, if you work less, you produce less. If you produce less, then you cannot buy more things. So it's like, kind of go back.
Exactly.
So how actually? Or am I misunderstanding something?
No, I mean, you are right. I mean, this is where I think Adam Smith was wrong. And we can't criticize this.
Okay.
He said, okay, wait a minute. I mean, first, you are seeing laborers. But the unfortunate thing is that Ricardo criticized it in a way that first he thinks laborers will start and become laborers. Because for this system to work, to constantly produce, the laborers can't be this thing. Which basically what he was saying. If the laborers somehow do less work, try to consume more, the economy can't work. This is what Ricardo was saying. But the alternative that Ricardo said is this. So be it. The labor should be there. In a way. There's no way to save the labor. He was quite pessimistic about it. I mean, Ricardo is actually quite an interesting figure because he's very honest. He criticized landlords, he criticized capitalists, while he himself is a capitalist, in a way. But he was quite honest when it comes to writing. He said, this is wrong, this is basically causing one of the problems in society, but again, what you do, I'm a capitalist. But at least I said it out loud, I don't hide it. We're going to look at that, but you are right. If this logic can work, then it's somehow at odds with this idea that everything must constantly grow. Because you have to work, if you produce more, you have to work more, isn't it? In that sense. But yeah, that's what Smith. That's why Smith got it wrong. I'm not going to criticize them now because I'm interested to criticize them from other scholars. But it's good that you bring up this because these are the things that you're going to put in mind when you look at other scholars later. You're going to say, this is where Smith got it wrong. In a way, and you pointed out very nicely, which lead to Ricardo in the next two classes, I hope. That if this vision of workers can be saved in this kind of a system that he proposes, it's slightly optimistic. It's not going to work, which is true. But I don't have the intention in Dallas. But yeah, he was wrong in the logic of the system. So okay, I think it's 10:50. Just last pages. This is nothing. It's one of the things, one of the technical jargon that he used in understanding the full text. So we're going to look at the system of motion, the systems of economic growth, a theory of accumulation of economic growth according to Smith. And why he thinks that, what are the other arguments, what are the more clear arguments, detailed arguments, that why this system of natural liberty requires a constant growth. We'll look at next week, I think. Thank you very much for coming and have a good night. Assalamualaikum. Organizer, want to say something? You want to say something? So any questions that you have, you can just ask in the WhatsApp group. It's okay. I'll try to answer. But if I don't, I email to you or something.
Assalamualaikum. Just for remark, actually we need for every session we had this this survey form. So we really need you to fill the survey form in order to somehow to evaluate your understanding. And then please take your attendance before you leave the room and fill up your survey form. We will give it the link on the WhatsApp. Then inshallah we try to provide you the summary for every classes. But if you can provide the notes, I think it's good. So thank you for tonight.
Okay, thank you for coming and hopefully you have a good session.
Pero bro, jangan tinggal fokus di tempat kan.
Yeah, you want to show something? You can just boleh gerak-gerak. Sampai tengok act ini boleh lah. Okay.
Oh.
Okay, for those of you who have no idea of what this documentary is not about, basically again, explaining it again, this is a documentary called Jagar. Jagar is an Indonesian word. I'm not sure about the meaning. Sister here is from Indonesia. You might want to ask her about the meaning. Jagar is a documentary about a group called Pemuda Pancasila. Pemuda Pancasila is basically a group of public masses formed by Suharto when he came to power in 1965. He did a military coup against Sukarno, the previous president. Then, as soon as he came into power, he obliterated the whole numbers of Parti Komunis Malaya, Parti Komunis Indonesia, which were supporting Sukarno when Sukarno